Hello, I'm Katy and I'm a leather worker. Welcome to my beautiful garden. These are deer skins from a local farmer, hunter, and I'm taking them through a natural tanning process. We're using oak bark from the local woods around me. I'm going to take you back on a journey through time to show you how to tan leather. It's about a 4-month process, so welcome. The hide's been salted for a few months. Salting them allows them to be preserved for an extended period of time. So the idea of tanning, the first part is fleshing, and what we want to do is take off the fatty membranes called the hypodermis on the skin, and then we want to be able to come up with a clean fleshed hide at the end of it that will be, the tannins will be able to penetrate down through this skin. So you work from the tail end of the deer, always working down along the spine towards the neck end. I have an old tool, which is a draw knife. The blade end is blunt. Has a little bit of sharpness just to be able to pick up the flesh and draw it away from the dermis of the skin. Then we need to remove the hair. This is called the deliming process. So this is a skin that has been in a lime solution for about 3 days. The lime solution swells the skin, opens up the hair follicles, and allows the hair to be very easily removed from the hide. And you can do it by hand as easily as that. Just give it a really good scrape. This also allows us to do is to push out the liming solution. So if there's lots of lime in here, we can help push this out to give it a good clean. Because it's been sitting in a lime solution for so long, we then need to neutralise its pH. So we then put it into a bath of water mixed with some good old malt vinegar. That raises its pH back up again and allows the hides to then be put into the bark liquor. So we start our tanning process by boiling bark, and this bark comes from oak trees. And we boil it up for a few hours and we take the tannins from the bark. And tannins are a preserving chemical. This is oak bark tan liquor, and it's the first boil that we've taken from the saucepan. So you can boil the bark 2 to 3 times over. The first boil will be the strongest solution. You put that to one side. You can then boil again for a second solution. You can probably put that to one side too. And then the third solution is the one that you want. When your hide first goes into the tanning liquors, its pores are very, very tight and close together. And if you hit that with lots of stuff or density, then the tannins will just penetrate the outer layer and they won't go through the skin the whole way. So you want to start off with a really, really weak liquor, less density, less stuff. And that will then push its way through the pores. This is my favourite part of the tanning process, when the hide goes into the tanning liquor for the very, very first time. So in here we've got the third boil tanning liquor. It's quite a weak solution, and in it goes for the first time. And you need to keep moving this hide every half hour for the first day that it goes into this solution, and then the next day every hour. You need to keep agitating the hide, because what you don't want is for the hide to sit rolled up on each other and folded together. After a few days you want to take the hides out and then scrape them, or we call it demembraning or scudding. So this hide has been sat in tanning solution just over 4 weeks, and you can see the difference in colour. This is what oak bark does to hides. It gives it this really deep, rich conker colour. Depending on temperature, depending on the weather that's surrounding you, it could take a few weeks. Also depending on the hide, the size of the skin, it could take up to a few months. These skins have taken 3.5 months to get to this process. Once they've been taken out of the solution, we wash them down, get all of the tannins out of them, and then we attach them up onto a frame. So when it's been sat in bark liquor for a really long time, it puckers like your skin does in a bath, and it shrinks and shrivels. So what we now want to do is stretch this hide back out again, stretch and open the grains, and the fibres within the skin. So we've stretched the hide out. This is the flesh side, the part that's underneath the skin. And the part on the bottom side of the frame is the grain side, which is the part on top with all the hair on it. So it's been stretched out and slowly drying for about an hour to 2 hours. And using a blunt piece of wood, and stretch the hide through. So once this has been stretched for 10 minutes or so with your blunt tool, it becomes quite baggy. What we then want to do is re-stretch it out. So we'll be taking the strings off the nails and re-stretching that hide so that it becomes really solid and firm and taut again. So in here we've got some sheep tallow mixed with some oil, and we're going to be rehydrating this skin. So putting a little in our hands and working that into the flesh side. And then using a good old paint scraper, working that deep down into the grains and fibres of the hide. So it's now time to turn this over and to moisturise the grain side. Really using your fingertips to get that deep down into the grains and fibres of this skin. And then using a different tool, this is a blunt piece of glass or a burnishing slicker. Use that piece of glass to really push the fats into the hide. This is now the last step in this process. This hide will stay on this frame for the rest of the evening, maybe another 24 hours depending on the temperature. Be allowed to completely dry out, and then it will be taken off the frame and we'll have leather and it will be ready to go. A quick brush off with a nice soft brush, and this hide will be turned into gardener's gloves or rancher's gloves, a pair of gloves that will last you the rest of your life.